What's up, everybody? That's right. The three of us, we're back. We're going to cover the NCAA football men's Division I National Championship, another SEC Championship Part 2, because we have Alabama and Georgia, a couple of top-ranked teams. One thing that I'm super excited to talk about as well is there's a couple of cool links down in the description that's going to save you some money, give you some extra bonuses so you can throw some money on this game. And also our social medias. I'm Matt with Beard Laws. Feel free to follow me if you'd like.
You can follow me, Matt Brown, at the Johanna Jones.
And you can follow me all over social media at Brandon J. McDermott.
So what we decided that we kind of want to do is we want to talk a little bit about this game, give you information on both sides, and then right towards the end, we're going to give you who we truly like. If you haven't, you can watch our bowl recaps. If you don't believe we're pretty good at it, we could have made you some money. So, Matt, go ahead and tell us a little bit about, what you think about this game.
The first thing I think of when I think of like both teams, let's start with Georgia. The first thing I think of is defense, and I think that's what everybody thinks of. But for Alabama, the first thing I actually think of is their offense. Now, I'm not saying this is, your classic offense versus defense matchup, but this could be something that, hey, the key to this game is their defense. The key to this game is their offense. And I will be interested to see an offense versus defense matchup for this one.
This is really the matchup that everybody knew was bound to happen, but didn't want. Let's be honest. I did not think that Michigan was going to play that terribly, or that Georgia was going to bounce back like they did, and they certainly did. They showed that they are not a terrible team by any means. Everybody knew that going into that game. This is the game and the matchup that we're getting. These are, in my mind, the two best teams in the country.
Let's talk, I guess, a little bit of the numbers. Currently, the spread is a 3-point favorite, like Brandon just said. Georgia is the favorite, and I'm just as shocked as you. The over-under on this game is 52. The money line, minus 145 for Georgia, plus 125 for Alabama.
Georgia has their defense and their defensive front. Their front seven is as good as any across the nation. And you know what? We've talked about college teams being able to compete with NFL teams. I think this defensive front could compete in the NFL at least a little bit. In the semifinal playoff for Alabama, that was kind of dominated by Brian Robinson Jr. He racked up almost 200 yards. That can't happen for Alabama, and they don't have John Mechie for this game, their former top wide receiver. Now they have to rely pretty much on Jamison Williams and then a slew of other players without a little bit of that secure pass catcher in John Mechie. Georgia's got a little bit more of an advantage defensively. Defense wins championships, and that will be how Georgia should be able to win this one.
Georgia is obviously looking to win its first title since, I think, like 1980. For Georgia to win, they're going to need to do something they didn't do in the last game against Alabama, and that's pressure Bryce Young. Get this, though. Alabama gave up 7 sacks against Auburn in that last final regular season game, and then in the SEC title game, a big whopping 0 they gave up to Georgia. So, Kirby Smart obviously has done something right against Alabama. I mean, he's gone up double digits, including in this year's SEC title game against Alabama. The difference has been obviously Saban's teams make just a little bit of adjustments. In the SEC title game, Georgia obviously stopped Alabama's run game and again gave up 420 yards passing. Also, as Matt said, Jamison Williams went 184 yards on 7 catches. It's like 25, 26 yards a catch, 2 touchdowns. You look at that Michigan game and you see Georgia returning to its old ways. Physical, relentless on defense. That is what's going to be the key here for them.
It could turn down to a field position game. 9.5 points was their average this season, Georgia, and that's just absolutely incredible. They kept their opponents under 14 and 12 of their last 14 games, obviously Bama being the one. The big thing that I think the momentum for Georgia that's going to continue is their quarterback, Bennett. Threw for 300 plus yards in their previous game, but he's improved to 10-1 as a starter this season. He's on a little bit of a tear. I think the offense is kind of starting to come into their own. Obviously, they're going to face a really good Alabama defense, but I think he is the key.
Talking about Michigan and how they attacked Georgia's defense the last game, and they didn't let J.J. McCarthy get more snaps than Cade McNamara. J.J. McCarthy is a little bit more like how Bryce Young plays. He's a little more mobile, and he was able to be more successful against that Georgia defense. And that is basically why I think I'm not convinced that Georgia has made the proper adjustments ahead of this national championship against the repeat of what could happen when they last played Alabama, because Bryce Young was able to get out of the pocket. So was J.J. McCarthy. Now, if they can make Bryce Young look like Cade McNamara, yeah, that can happen. But Alabama has just kind of shown that Bryce Young is in a rhythm, even without John Mechie. There were 8 total receivers, or at least 8 total players that caught balls in that SEC championship game. It wasn't just Jameson and Jameson Williams. As good as Jameson Williams is, he could be shut down. They've got a few other pass catchers that he can go to. Even Brian Robinson Jr., who caught a few balls on his own in the SEC championship.
Looking at that Georgia-Michigan game, one of the things that surprised me the most was Michigan was so dang good at running the ball, and they were held to 91 yards. And I think that is really what Georgia's been great at this year. On the other side of that, look at what Alabama did against Cincinnati. They ran the ball on the first 10 of 11 plays on that first drive of the game. That 10 run plays, that set the tone for the game. And they've made it to the playoffs to get this 7 of the first 8 years in its existence. That's unbelievable. That just kind of
wild.
You. Saban is by far the best coach in college football. Look at his record. He has Kirby's number so far, Kirby Smart's number so far in this matchup. 4-0 against him, 2-2 against the spread against Kirby Smart. Kirby knows this. They've come out strong in those games against Alabama. They have not kept that foot to the ground. They've not kept the pedal to the metal, and that's kind of been where Georgia has gone awry. Georgia bounced back big against Michigan, and I think they have a chance to do that too here.
Adding to your point with Saban, he's 25-1 against former assistants. They're going to get Georgia to kind of over-prepare a little bit more against the run, seeing that amazing running game, allowing them to just take advantage of the passing game a little bit even more. I love the over. I love that 52. Georgia is defense. They put up a ton of points. That 52 is very intriguing.
I totally agree with you. I love the over as well. I just want to throw this in there that their combined points per game this year is 80.4. That's nowhere near the 52. I'm more confident in saying bet the over than what I'm going to say next. I do like Bama. I like Bama too much to not go with them here. I just think that they're the more complete team. And I do think that they can just make the counter adjustments, the adjustment that you said that Georgia might have been, I guess you could say, baited. So I just pick Alabama, and there's no points for them to cover because they're the underdogs here, but I don't see them as one.
What you don't want to do for Alabama is give them any reason to act like they're the underdog, and making them the underdog is doing just that. I knew, and I called them beating Cincinnati by 2-3 touchdowns. They were by far the better team. Nothing against Cincinnati. They deserve to be there. I don't think Georgia showed how good they are in that SEC title game. 3 for 12 is what Georgia went on third down in that title game. If they can do that again, Bama wins. For Georgia, obviously opposite side of the coin. They got to get to Bryce Young. They got to get those sacks. And then keep the pedal to the metal. They've gone up double digits and then gave up those leads and eventually lost. That said, I see a tough game. Like it always is between the two of them. Tight, fought hard. I do think Georgia is the better team. I think it'll show. Even though Bama has the better coaching staff and the better coach, I'm taking Georgia to win this one, 27-24.
But I'm going Bama +3. I think they have the better coaching. And yes, I know defense wins championships, but it didn't win them the SEC championship. I do like the over, but I like it. And even if Georgia does win, I think it's going to be within a 1 or 2 point game. I think it would be that close if Georgia wins. So either way, Alabama +3. So let us know in the comments who you're taking, who you're picking. Can't wait for this game. That's a wrap for the college football here. And if you want to continue to see more amazingness, well, follow us on the social medias. Again, I'm Matt at Beardlaws.
And I'm Matt Brown at the Johanna Jones.
And whether you're yelling Roll Tide or Go Dogs, I'm Brandon J. McDermott. You can follow me on social media.
And make sure you check the descriptions, not only for that, but for some bonus stuff for you guys to make a little bit extra money on this game. Good luck, and we'll see you next season for some college football. Take care, everybody.